Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you bet. And you're gonna run this next week?
Yeah, this will be 2 days after your official announcement, from what you told me.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
we should be good there.
All right.
All right, let's get this started, and we'll get out of here by 6, if not before. Uh,
Okay.
just got a few questions for you. Everyone, welcome to path number 113 of the Mellow Brick Road. Trace and I are here with you again, and we are honored to have a very special guest. Remember weeks and weeks ago we were talking about the KRES, let's call it the KRES news of them being bought by the Alpha Media Group and the firings that kind of went on through KRES. And we were heated at the moment, just as soon as we heard the news. But now, we've backed up a little bit, we've calmed down, and amazingly, we got a hold of one of the top sports broadcasters that was at KRES, and probably, I mean, I don't want to toot your own horn, but the state of Missouri, for the most part, I'd say. If you were listening to sports radio
One
in
one that's been
mid-Missouri,
unemployed all summer, you understand?
right? Yeah, yeah. Well, yes, but because of the whole big news from KRES. So, we have Brad Boyer here. It's so great to have you here. I can't believe you are here. Can't believe you answered my text. It's great. How have
Thanks.
you been this summer? I mean, we know you've been busy.
First of all, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad to talk to a Windsor that's going to give me some good content, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Dad's one of my favorites, by the way, from a player
Oh
to
yeah.
his coach. I love my Deacon, but
Oh yeah.
hey guys, thanks. I appreciate it. It's been a
Yeah.
weird summer, it really has been.
Sure.
I don't know what direction you want to take this. Obviously it was a shock to a lot of the area,
Yeah.
not and myself. What happened? Business decisions are made. Uh, Everybody's replaceable. I found that out.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
but I will tell you this. And for most, probably that view this, they'll immediately know KRES, but there's more of the stations. Quicks was something that I did a morning show on. It has a huge place in my heart. I mean, it's nearly 3 full decades of growing as a broadcaster, letting me do what I can do. So, listen, I'm not here to at least, bash. We can disagree or agree
Right.
with whatever was
Right.
done, but KRES will always have a place in my heart. It made me who I was. It allowed me to do what I do, and it connected with the area. And I think it's part of the reason we got to this point this summer is it left such a hole because it's made such a difference in people's lives. It was comfort food for whatever you wanted, whether it was farm markets or weather or the way we talk here, it's going to be a lot of sports, I'm sure, but it just, decision was made and they're still functioning as a radio station. And all of a sudden we had to call an audible and figure out what we could do to maybe find our niche.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I really wanted to bring you on to the show to talk about and kind of let other people in the area know. I mean, once this episode airs, the news will have broken already, but this is like a little secondary avenue for your news to break. You are starting a new broadcasting company, I guess. should be called, right? A company, yes.
Gotta find my spot there.
Oh yeah, right.
I get too close here. NEMO Pressbox.com, our little mic logo there. Yeah, it's
I got a card right here. See if it'll show up.
there you go.
There we go. That's kind of there. It's kind of there. And NEMO Press Box. Well, the first question before we kind of get to your history with KRES and how you've kind of gotten to where you are now with NEMO Press Box, where did the name NEMO Press Box come from?
That's a great question. So you ever try to pick a domain? I mean, that's just, I thought it was pretty easy. I hadn't really thought about it. You know, I know everybody had their own domain, but then,
right.
And I do want to mention JB Connoley and Austin Ward.
Right, of course, yes.
In this partnership managers. Yeah, so, you know, trying to figure it out. And so the first thing you start to do is maybe a funny play on words. You know, I thought Audible might be something, you know, because we were changing Audible in our career. You can listen, you know, but obviously audiobooks, I think, had that one. That one cornered a long time ago.
I don't know if you can buy that one off them.
Yeah, and then you start thinking about our names, and so we started to do BABAW, you know, try to figure out if there's anything. But I think the most important thing with a domain is something that immediately can be remembered, right? And so easily found. And I guess the story, I mean, we were struggling to find some kind of a name. We kind of knew that this might be just based on the school interest. This was going to be a regional type thing. So the NEMO always fit. A lot of NEMOs out there. I was sitting at my son's, he coaches baseball. I was sitting at one of his summer games, and down the first base line, my view took me right to a press box. And so it just, I text the guys, I said, what can we do with press box?
Yeah.
And so we started working on that. And I've spent half my life, I think, in a press box. So that's kind of the origins of the name, NEMO Press Box.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. That's a great name.
I think it just perfectly sums up what you guys do. I mean, you're an area school, you know, the local area here, and the press box thing takes me back to mention our dad again, which I'm sure we'll do several more times. But
I tried to get him
to
in
the
here.
Press box and going past the press room of guys like you talking, and it felt like they were talking a mile a minute, and you're like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but I like it. So yeah, I think the name works.
Yeah, we probably snuck by you so many times growing up and didn't even know it was you.
I was thinking about that today. I knew Brad's voice before I knew you. I mean, I didn't even know, and I'm sure a lot of people could say they know your voice. I mean, you have a distinct voice in this area. There's a lot of people that would be like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is as soon as you start talking. That's kind of a unique thing.
For sure.
It's a unique business. It is the magic of radio, right? Is the voice and the connection. And that's part of this whole transition this summer and the news and what happened. And I think I used that in my Facebook post after the decision was made to let us go. Is there was so many people that this impacted the decision that I may never have met face to face, you know, but they wanted to react. And so I put this Facebook letter out, just thanking them for, you know, the support. If I never get to hug you, just know that I'm there. But the magic of radio connects us. It's family, it's friends, it's colleagues. And so, I'm forever grateful for that. Now it's a new platform, but that's exactly what you're talking about, Trace. I mean, it's just, you hear the voice first. That, you know, I was on the AM side at the Moberly stations for the last several years. So that meant a lot of local talk shows, a lot of senior citizens that would listen in. I always felt a huge responsibility. You know, it's easy to play off, and some of the calls, you know, it's like, well, that's kind of funny or weird or whatever. But it's just like, for that part of their day, the senior citizens, that might be the interaction they have. You just don't know what kind of an impact you're making, that they can turn on. They feel like you're talking to them. And so,
exactly.
You know, that's a huge part of, I've learned over the years of the impact that you can make, in broadcasting. My job is no more special, important than anybody else who's lost a job over the years. But there's just something different about radio that, yeah, there's a connection, and it has made such an impact in the areas.
I was looking at a bunch of different sports broadcasters throughout the years, like Missouri ones, and I found one from Jack Buck, who said that he whenever he did broadcasting, he would commentate for the people that were exiled from the games, the ones that couldn't be there to watch it. Like, that's who he was. He wasn't talking to the people at the game, even though he was around them, talking, near them. He was always thinking about the people that didn't have a chance to buy a ticket, or couldn't make it because they had work or something like that. So yeah, broadcasting is extremely important. It connects people in ways you wouldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like, even though they're not at the game, they have a sense that they've experienced it live, which is really important.
And people just come up to you like they've known you for years, when they do get to meet you. And that's a cool moment. Jack Buck's probably the reason I'm in the game. I mean, I grew up listening to him, and so
right.
Yeah.
I got a picture on my desk with him and a hug, type situation picture. So yeah, Jack Buck. Awesome.
I'm so happy that I brought that up just now.
For you,
knowing
Brad,
that he's such
how
an
was
inspiration.
it meeting your hero? How was that interaction?
Oh, I mean, it's just you model your style, and things like that. And there's others. I mean, the greatest form of flattery broadcasting is imitation, and maybe somebody's picked up something from me, but I'll pick up something. I'm not afraid to copy.
Oh, of course,
copy over the years. I've never been a broadcaster. I mean, I probably have a few phrases or call type words that I use that maybe more than others, but I don't get hung up on one. Now, JB, for example, he goes bang at the Greyhound games.
Right. Yeah.
That's his deal. And others have done that. I've been in the moment for whatever hits me, but I pick up styles as I listen to some of the good ones. Well, Mitch Holtis right now with the Chiefs is outstanding.
Exactly.
And just probably maybe his excitement level is something that I get to. You want to leave highs and lows on the broadcast, but he's so good at ramping that stuff up. So I've picked from a lot of folks.
Yeah. How did you get your start in broadcasting?
A glamorous 11-hour Sunday overnight shift at the radio station. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
I always thought that, when I graduated, you always want to play. I was a decent basketball player. It would have been, I might have been able to get, play some college, but that didn't work out. But the combination of being a sports junkie, a sports fan, and enjoying, the writing and the broadcast aspect of it kind of brought me to that decision. I was in Moberly taking classes at MACC, and right away, one of the admissions counselors knew of my interest, in journalism school and making that a career. It just happened to be that he had a connection with King Kuyava, who is my mentor at the radio stations, and knew that, hey, maybe they can use you down there. And so it wasn't right from enrolling in classes to, you can come over here and start working part-time, and the rest is history. I have not created a resume until this summer.
Wow.
Then as it turns out, I didn't need a resume.
Yeah, you started your own. You made a resume, then started your own company.
It's off my bucket list.
There you go. There you go.
Resume, but started part-time, attending classes, just continued to grow with the company. And, you face that decision. Okay, can I make a move? I mean, I think the inclination is you need to make a move, right? You got to go somewhere and chase an extra dollar, or try to move to a medium market, or a major market. And so all those things crossed my mind, but I realized how good I had it. And then family starts to come, and that becomes important to stability. And anyway, I couldn't have asked for better radio stations to work for. So I don't feel like I got cheated in not moving.
There you go. Yeah, no, KRES is amazing. I feel like after the big news again, yeah, we're not bashing. I just feel like once now that school is starting, and by the way, I did want to get Dad in here at least a couple of times to throw some jabs
We
at
tried.
you. But he's not school is starting, so he's at school right now. Still, I think
Well,
probably he'll probably be there till midnight.
None of us would have gotten as many words in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why the door's locked right now. I got a padlock on it right now. But I feel like it wasn't the impact isn't going to be felt really by this by your firing and the firings of other sports, other broadcasters until once the sports start again. I feel like there's going to be a hole in mid-Missouri sports radio, at least for a time, and unless they figure out how to do it their own way and it still works for them, it's great. But I feel like a lot of the flavor is gone, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like a lot of like the down home feeling, like the friendly feeling of, I don't know. I have so many memories of even heading back from football games or basketball games. In the car, you're listening on the radio to KRES on another game that that's somewhere else that you were curious about, that maybe you weren't, that you weren't able to make it to. You had to go to this game.
A game of two schools that you've never heard of, but they're local, but you don't know anything about them, but you're into it because it's on, and that's what's, of course, your guys' team put on such a good show that you care about the score that doesn't matter to you in any way, but you're just into it.
Yeah. Great example. What you're saying, Trace, is Truman and my relationship with them.
Right.
There may be a lot of fans in Northeast Missouri that have never been to Stoke Stadium or Pershing Arena, or if they did, it was maybe a high school playoff game at Pershing,
Yeah.
And we started the Bulldog, and it was probably a risk on both sides, not being in Kirksville, and then my home game was an hour away always, So, but I will tell you that over the years, it connected, and people still may have never been to Stoke Stadium and Pershing Arena, but they followed Truman State because it was on KRES. And there was a lot of people like that with KRES that just listened to games. And a lot of the senior citizens just loved the games that were on the air, listen to the excitement. So, and there's stations that I'm sure are going to try to fill the gap. Not going to speak for KRES. They may end up, at some point doing some more games. We're just moving on. And that's one of the things we're trying to do is fill a gap, and that's, I get asked some about, well, can you do severe weather coverage, or can you do community news? Can you do some local news? And now we're just trying to figure out what we can do.
Yeah. Can you do everything that they were doing over there? Can you just move into what you're doing? But
you can't build a radio station.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, but what three dudes can do, and then of course what I'm learning all through this is the whole business side. My family kidded me all the years that I didn't have a job. I had a hobby. And it kind of grind me, don't I get up at this time and then I have games and now all the hours I work, you got a hobby. And now
I got, how many games I have to sit and watch.
And now I get to this point where I'm trying to start up a business and do I really know anything, how to do anything? So maybe I did just have a hobby. So there's a lot to it, and in doing the business side of things, and then also what we enjoy is calling the games.
You were getting paid to enjoy your hobby, and hopefully with the new business you'll learn to love it even more. That it's more than just a hobby. Now it's like it's a career move for you now. It's your baby, it's your company. So I feel like that love is only going to get more and more, and then your family will stop bugging you so much about
it. We're trying to figure this thing out, and I know we're going to make some mistakes the first year, but hey, we're we're going to take a swing at it at least and see what we can do.
No one knows more about making mistakes, especially on air, than right here on Mellow Brick Road. Ooh, we've had some dingers of mistakes.
We've had some growing pains for sure.
And we're not
That's
even
why this feels so big to us. This feels
this is amazing.
Very big to us. So
I think we grew up listening to your voice, and now you're on our own little tiny radio show, kind of internet radio show, I guess.
You maybe inadvertently inspired us at some point. So that's we really appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. My pleasure.
And one thing I really admired with KRES and what you guys did there was the KRES All-Stars and the after game interviews with different athletes. You would talk to these high school athletes about their game, their plays, what all these different things, and it was so interesting. And I feel like it really did boost a lot of student athletes because it kind of made them feel like they were bigger than just a high school athlete. Like they were it was almost like their ESPN, like a local ESPN for them. And I always really admired that because you don't really see like a KRES All-Star banquet. I mean, I don't really know of other places that do that. I'm sure there's other places that have sport awards and stuff, but I just felt like KRES All-Star was such a really important thing for student athletes in high school.
Yeah, public speaking 101. They force you guys out of your comfort zone, do an interview. And it's good experience. I think it's good real life experience, do an interview. And it wasn't just the All-Stars of football, but on the farm side, you get our farm directors would get with the FFA guys and gals, and there was we did Scholar Bowl coverage and just good news stories, lots of awards. We do hope to do that with some of our area students in the network here at NEMOPressBox.com as well, along with the game coverage that we're doing. We're connecting with our area schools and kind of want to tell the story of some of the good stuff that's happening in our area schools, and that would include some student award winners, those type things too, that we can post on our website as well. So
and I think that stuff's so important because it gives those students exposure that they normally wouldn't have. I mean, maybe if they were able to get all the way to a state competition or something like that, or national competition, they get that exposure. But you guys were really going down at the kind of the beginnings of each year, each season, and watching these students build on their skills, on their craft, whatever it was. And so it was really interesting to watch just every year. I don't know, you guys were amazing. KRES was amazing.
Yeah.
You guys did amazing work.
We do have plans to do honors with the website. So whatever we end up calling it, some kind of a press box team that we have, we would that's one thing we heard from superintendents when we talked is like, hey, can we keep this going in some way? So that's a goal. Maybe even expand it to another sport or two. That's certainly in our mind. And I know you've mentioned a few times the Friday night show. We are going to do Friday night press box show after the game. So
awesome.
We'll get some coaches on. Yeah.
And, is this going to be can people access these broadcasts on the website, or do you have multiple avenues, or just the website?
Right now, we're doing website.
Okay.
NEMOPressBox.com. We're trying to make this as click friendly as you can. So if you can just find the site on your laptop, computer, tablet, phone, whatever it is, there will be 3 players at the top. If you're looking at a laptop, you'll see the 3, or tablet, you'll see them 3 horizontally. I think on your mobile or your mobile phone, it'd be vertical, but they should be very distinct to where it's easy to find and click on the game that you want. Friday nights, our goal is that on all 3 players, where there's games, immediately on all 3, it would switch to the show.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
It's been a challenge without the classic phone lines and more, it's going to be a little different. That's the biggest thing, that business card you got, we came up with a slogan there, which really summarizes it. And that NP NEMO Press Box is a new platform, but same tradition. That's kind of where we're trying to approach this thing. Yeah, there you go.
Right there, boom.
Same. Yep. I'm not much on graphics, but I came up with the logo.
It's great. It's great.
You're the words guy.
You know, I'll be honest, and I know we keep giving you so many compliments, and I don't know if that's making you feel weird, but
you haven't complimented my hair yet, man.
Well, I'll be honest, Brad. If I could have seen it, I would have complimented it. There we go. When my dad gave me this card, it just seeing your name on there was. It didn't even matter what the rest of it said. The fact that your name was on there got me excited because it just meant that Brad Boyer is working on something special, and I am just patiently waiting for it, constantly checking the website for when it's available, even though I know it's not yet.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And then JB is doing a lot of heavy lifting on the tech side, and Austin is, I've told others in meetings or whatever, he is a big up and comer in the broadcast industry. And so we're really excited to have this team. And, you know, we got a lot of games that we got to do over the course of the next 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're going to try to figure it out. We're going to do more softball probably than we've done before, you know, no more baseball than we've done before, weather permitting. That's a challenge sometimes in the spring and lugging your equipment out in the elements.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I've got a question that I didn't actually, off the top of my head here. One thing I always wondered, at least in high school, and I never really looked into this, so I could just not have been paying attention, but during track season, which is off the same time as baseball season, is there, why aren't there as many, do stations cover track and field for high school as much? That's something I only wondered because I didn't play baseball.
Because it's a great sport. It's just, you know, how do you pull it off? It just
right.
I don't know. There may be some. It just the best way we could do it was get to the state level and highlight those.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. You'd have to because it's so
lots
spread
of
out.
Interviews.
I feel like you'd have to move around a lot to find the athletes.
The
for
results
events.
are so.
There's so many moving parts.
Well.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. With baseball, you can it's one
tell
field.
The score, you can say who
Yeah.
played well, who pitched, but with track, there's so many events on men's and women's both, so it's like, how do you even highlight everybody that deserves it?
There we go.
We're too close to the Olympics, you know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
NBC does a great job, but they
They did amazing. There you go. Just use that for inspiration for when track season comes around. You got 1 year. You got less than a year before track season starts. Oh man. This has been a great conversation, Brad. I do have another question for you. So you've been broadcasting for almost 40 years. Over 40 years? I'm not sure. You look great.
Yeah, the first 5 I sounded more like Mickey Mouse. I've gotten back.
I'm about to find those archives.
And I had some 80s feather hair.
Oh, so, I'm definitely going to find those archives. Oh, no, it's radio. Dang. Won't have pictures of that. So you've seen hundreds, thousands of games of varying sports. What do you, if you could have one in your mind, what's the best game you've ever seen?
I don't know if I would say, I don't know that. Here's the thing I tell people about. I think the cool thing is about broadcasting games is the game tells the story, and you never know what that story is going to be until the final whistle. I mean, you go into, you don't know what's going to happen. You can think blowout, you can think no chance, you can think we got this. That I'm talking about, say, with Truman when I'm calling for the Bulldogs. You just don't know. The games tell the story. There's just so many different stories.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen half court shots win games. If I start identifying a few, they're probably the unique ones, you know, that you get to call are the ones, whether it's, one that always comes to mind when I was doing Truman State, just because of the stage. We were at the Elite Eight in 1999.
Okay.
And it was a Bulldog team, men's basketball team that was picked 7th in the preseason MIAA poll, 7th. And they made it to the Elite Eight. They got in the middle of the season. They took two really bad, they took one huge loss at Missouri Western, got blown away, and kind of scuffling around the 500 mark. And then they go to Washburn on a Monday night, and they are behind by 20 at halftime on the road. And it looks like it's going to be another blowout. They come back and win on a last second shot, and they don't lose again until they get to the national semifinals in Louisville.
Wow.
And we get to, and every game was a broadcaster's dream, down to the wire. It wasn't like they were blowing teams out. It was just
exciting, like really high tense.
High intensity stuff. Well, we get to the Elite Eight. They play the Division II. They play the Final Eight in one site. We're in Louisville, and we play St. Rose, New York, and the game goes triple overtime. And the Bulldogs win it to get to the national semifinals, triple overtime. I mean, that gets as good as it gets.
Cow.
Wow. So that one obviously has a special place in my heart. Not only that, but it was the final game of this amazing stretch for a broadcaster to go through. And unfortunately, we have to turn around and play the next day after triple overtime. And we fall behind big to Metro State, come all the way back. This would have been even the bigger capper, and get it down to a 1-possession game, had a 3 to tie, couldn't quite get over the hump. And so come up short, nearly playing for national championship. I called Truman. I've called a couple of colleges' last ever football game. Nebraska Omaha at Stoke Stadium was their last ever football game.
Wow.
62-61 game was the final score, football.
Whoa.
Wow. I called Urbana, Ohio. We were there. It was their last game. And then the other ones, there's memorable ones for like family reasons, like calling my son's game, just there was a playoff game, and he rips a ball away and goes the other way for a touchdown against Lutheran North, I think it was. But just his senior year, they were undefeated, ranked 3rd. That team at Moberly, and all 3 of my children, I got to call games for my kids.
Right.
And it was a situation where you could, I was going to I wanted to be at the games anyway to watch.
Right.
And so, why send somebody else? So maybe I didn't get to focus quite as much on just my kids, but just the fact that I could be there and call their games unique and emotional, and
I'm sure
all sorts of high school playoff game. I mean, just a bunch. Those are just a few memories that come to mind.
I had a question for you, Brad. How cool is it to see a guy like Cody Schrader, come through Truman, be successful, and then go on to Mizzou and just do everything that he did? Now he's, signed by an NFL team. Something like that. I'm sure you've seen a lot of players come through with equally as good stories, but how do you feel about something like that?
Well, it just shows hard work, and if you have a dream, and not all dreams come true. I mean, sure, I wanted to be in the NBA, and that didn't come true. But Cody's he's not letting anybody stopping him right now.
Right.
And the other part is it's a great lesson of, I mean, when his recruiting class was released at Truman, I'm looking at down, all the bios, and they always look good, high school. I'm looking at this Cody Schrader, and his numbers were pinball-esque. I mean, they were huge. I'm thinking, whoa, I mean, who missed on this guy?
Yeah, what's he doing here? Is kind of what you're thinking, I'm sure.
And you don't want to diminish Division II or
right.
But you've heard the story before. He didn't get any recruiting. I mean, it was just no love at the Division I level, and so it was Truman's fortune that he came. And he, first year worked his way into the rotation. We had another 1,000-yard rusher, Jordan Salima, so he wasn't going to replace him. And then, of course, the next year just exploded, in his 2,000-yard season. And that, I mean, you talk about highlights. I mean, there's those type players too that I've got to cover. And Cody just, he wouldn't, they wouldn't tell him no. And then at that point, he had a chance to probably find a scholarship somewhere and leave Truman. He could have been a star at the Division II. He could have done all sorts of things, but he bet on himself, and he wanted to go to the Mizzou. And a lot of people, well, what do you think? You think he can? And I said, well, I know Cody's going to do whatever he can to make them tell him, no, you can't play here. And it's a great story.
It's an amazing story.
It's
an uphill climb, but I'm not putting it past Cody Schrader being on the roster. I mean, I don't, such talent with a team that made the Super Bowl. It's such an uphill climb for an undrafted kid, but
absolutely. But to come from Kirksville, Missouri, or where he's from, but then to be in Kirksville, Missouri at that level and then walk through all the way to an NFL team it's special. I mean, it's just obviously I saw him in person a couple of times, so he just really, stuck out to me as a Truman guy that is just doing awesome stuff. Like you said, he's just not letting anybody stop him. Everybody's trying to stop him, but he's just not letting it happen.
Determined, and it's played off. He works extremely hard, and it's paid off for him. It's an amazing story.
Did you see the CBS feature they did before the Arkansas game?
Yes.
So really nice, yeah. But graduation. He wanted to practice, and he had his graduation, And so all of a sudden they told him you can't, and he's out there working out. And anyway, it quickly became apparent. I think the running backs coach told everybody in the running backs room, it's like, hey, that's why this guy's the guy, right? You guys can't outwork him.
Yeah,
exactly. What a great lesson for local kids to see the progression that can happen if you really want it to happen. You may say you want it to happen, but if you really want it to happen, there's steps that can be made. So as a local guy, and we're talking about local kids and schools, I just think he's like the perfect example of all of this, of what this all could lead to. So for sure.
Easy 100%. To root for. So I hope he makes it.
Me too.
And he's
crossed.
He's a kid that might fit into this new kickoff rule. That he's coming. Maybe
you can see.
That's a break. Maybe that we'll see.
Yeah, just specialists could come out of that whole rule change that may not have made a team 5 years or 2 years ago. So it's really cool.
Right.
Van, unless you have one more, I had kind of a lasting or a final thought for you, Brad. Kind of bigger than you or bigger than just your part in all this. Why is it so important to continue this mission of coverage for local areas? Why not ride off into the sunset and close this chapter? Why is it so important to come back and continue coverage for local kids and local farmers and be a voice for the community?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, I asked my dad if I'd come back to the farm, and he said no. I'm not bringing you back. I saw what you tore up in high school. So I do need to work a few more years. I got some gas in the tank. I'm gonna I want to say something because I don't know if we've covered it sufficiently in this interview, and that's our area schools.
Yes.
And they have become a real support and backbone for what we are doing. And they I could probably, I just briefly share just a thumbnail sketch of the whole story. But 2 days after the decision was made to let us go, an area superintendent came to me and said, why can't we have a broadcast network? Why can't schools engage behind you in a school network? And it's taken all summer to get my arms around what all that means and what structure looks like and how this can work and how we can be a benefit to them and they can be a big support for us. And we've involved superintendents in this effort as well. We've listened to what they have to say. And so it's been very humbling to have that kind of support. And it's really the reason we are doing this. it's a tough startup on your own, but if you've got that kind of support, then it makes it easier. And we've had so many people come alongside and be our encouragers, and I've needed that along the way. So now I'm going to try to give back and do my job, and hopefully we can deliver at a level that will kind of keep some of that tradition going around these parts. Glad you guys have had me on here. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like we said already, you were a huge inspiration for us. I mean, we love you. The community loves you. So of course you're going to get all this backing and support immediately. I mean, people were freaking out. I'm surprised there weren't riots around like all the farmland and whatnot around the area, because I mean, it was devastating news to everyone. And like I said, we went a little bit too, well, I always say that, never Trace, it's always me, goes a little bit too crazy. Well, this was very heated. It was very crazy to hear that it happened. But yeah, you've been such a huge inspiration. And if there's anything at all you need with NEMO Press Box, any help, any assistance, even if it's, I don't even know what we would do, carry luggage. We could help lug equipment around. If you need a couple idiots to yell into a microphone, we can do that for you.
Yeah. We could do some advertisements. We'll remind people to visit the site and all of that.
You know, and our first assignment for advertising, when is the official launch of NEMO Press Box, Brad?
August 26th. So that's when we're going. And then games, I think we're going to have a game the 29th. And then obviously football night is the 30th.
Yep.
And we're going to try to open with a bang, at least on the Moberly side, because this is a unique one. If people have not checked the schedule, the Spartans were left with an opening week 1 gap, and they found it in Wisconsin. So they're playing Pewaukee, Wisconsin. They're meeting.
Wow.
They're meeting in the middle in Mount Vernon, Iowa, at Cornell College. So about a 4+ hour drive for both.
Did not.
Interesting.
Know that.
We're going to try to pull that off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Night.
We can't wait.
I do want to say too, you guys have been great, and I appreciate the compliments and all that. We do have some great media folk in this area, that I respect greatly. And so whether it's mid-Missouri, the Hannibal Quincy area, and I don't want to leave everybody out when I start, a lot of folks that do their best to cover area athletes. So I want to give them a tip of the cap too.
Of course. Oh yeah. I mean, these areas, these small rural Midwest towns, they need people like you. They need people with like these radio stations that do go into the communities and kind of raise them up for other people in the state, in the country, to see them. Because without that, there's really they really don't focus on the smaller communities nationally.
No.
So it's important to show people in those communities that, hey, you are also important. It's not all just, Kardashians and some other celebrities, whoever. Yeah, I don't even know. So yeah, you're a very important person, and I know we keep giving you more compliments, and I can't stop. But
you see that a lot. One of the things that we did at the stations, and we're going to continue to do, is going to be, most of our matchups are going to be two-way, and so it was always call it right down the middle, right? And so that's going to be a lot of what we do as well, which I enjoy. Now, a lot of times if I'm calling a Moberly game, it might be somewhere out of the area like Pewaukee. I'm not going to talk down about Pewaukee, but obviously I'm going to have a little more Spartan juice for that one. But most of our games are two-way. You have these rivalries, and I always found it neat. I don't know if some of the rivals would admit it, but once they were done, and if the other teams, if they get on a run, you kind of watch them, right? And we kind of, as an area, we start to gravitate toward that team that's going to represent Northeast Missouri or our area.
Absolutely.
That state, and we get fired up about it. And then when they're done, then maybe we can not like them as well after that. But we get on the bandwagon and we root for them. And that's kind of what the area does. And that's rural Missouri, right?
Yeah. Oh, I immediately, when you said that, my first thought was Brookfield. Yep. When we grew up in Marceline, Brookfield. Oh man.
It has not left us yet.
Despise them, but when they do good, I'm like, yeah. Oh yes, okay, good.
Yeah. It'd be hard to root for them. Yeah.
This has been so much fun, Brad. I hope we get to chat more, hang out more. I'm sure we'll see you at games in the coming seasons for sure. Especially when Trace's little one starts going to games. That'll be a while from now, but eventually I know he'll be an athlete.
It's gonna be a while.
He's got those Windsor thighs. I know he's gonna be powerful runner. Just like his dad and his grandpa. It's gonna be amazing to see. If you have
best wishes here with your podcast. Good for you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. We're trying our best.
We appreciate it.
We're just
taking
it
one fun.
Yeah, we're just having a good time one day at a time, slowly building and learning each week. Kind of like you'll probably be doing the same thing every week. You'll just be obsessively staring at footage and figuring out how you can improve on it. At least that's what I do. We do a thing here at the end of each path where we try to find famous or just Missouri celebrities, local people that have gone on to be like Brad Pitt or John Goodman, like really big names, and then also sometimes local people. This time
don't forget, we did quote Brad one week.
We did quote you one week. That is true. I think it was the week that
considered you
the week that KRES
celebrity.
All that news, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Oh, of course, us and everybody else in the state, for sure. This quote I have is from Harry Carey, actually, another famous broadcaster from St. Louis. Like most Missouri celebrities, it seems, when we do this part of the show. There's a million different quotes from him that I could have chosen from. The quote I have chosen is, "My whole philosophy is to broadcast the way a fan would broadcast." And I think that's a great quote because I feel like that's kind of with maybe not all media, but with radio, television, you want to make something that you would enjoy, something that you would go back and watch yourself. And when you do that with that in mind, I feel like it just relates to so many more people. So
you bet. Paint the picture.
Yeah. And if you have a famous sign, if you want to start, you don't have any quotes, official quotes that you have for yourself, but if you'd like to start an official sign off, we usually have a little sign off here where we go, "Mellow manifestations, everybody."
Mellow NEMO Press Box manifestation.
Hey, there we go.
There we
I like
go.
it. You can let's see. Maybe we can find one for you. Nemo. You could find Nemo, like Finding Nemo Press Box.
Nemo, man. Finding Nemo.
Your face on like a fish's body. I don't know. We can workshop it later. But Brad, this has been so much fun. Thank you again for joining us. This is we can't wait to see how Nemo Press Box blooms. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
We'll see you later.
Thanks, Brad.